Hello and welcome to Anime Inspirations Podcast Episode 1. This is actually the YouTube version. There's actually the full and complete episode is already posted on our site, so definitely check that out. Now, what I mean by that is we have the complete full episode with moving video actually. Because of YouTube and various circumstances, we can't have the moving video and the scene play out for you guys, unfortunately. So please check out. We're gonna post a link um, in the video description. So please, if you want to follow along, check out the link to our complete episode in the show notes. Now, this podcast episode is called Ricchan's Dilemma. I'll go over that in just a second, explaining why I named the title, what it is, and what exactly it means. So um, we'll be covering Bokura wa Minna Kawaisou, uh, the Japanese or the English name, my bad, is the Kawai Complex Guide to Manners and Hostel Behavior. Uh, Now, you think I would have figured out what that means exactly, but now Kawaii, however, I can tell you that Kawaii is the last name of Sumiko and Ricchan. Now, Sumiko, let me go over the characters will be, uh, that I'll be analyzing here. Now, Sumiko is just for background information, but analyzing the name of this title, Sumiko is the grandmother who owns this sort of what do you call it? Like a Japanese hotel or something, something like that. But mini apartment complex. But her last name is Kawai, and her granddaughter is Ricchan. She's the sort of the short-haired girl here reading a book. She's actually the female protagonist in this show. So for reference, I'll be talking about her a lot. Um, there's also the the spiky-haired gray, or I guess it's either in this shot it kind of looks gray, but um, I suppose it's more brownish. But the brown-haired character is actually named Usa-kun. Um, he I don't talk about him much, but just for reference, I felt like in in the first take of this podcast, I didn't go over like who the characters were exactly. I mean, so it may have been difficult for first time viewers who were checking out. Like, I don't even know what this is about. What is anime? Um, they may not have known what I was talking about, but um, now to re-emphasize. This will be covering Bokura wa Minakawaisu episode 11, and actually, I'm including a sort of extension uh, to episode 12. There's a short sort of segment in episode 12 that I wanted to cover. Now, you may be asking, what about spoilers? Oh my God, spoilers! Actually, the way I do this, the point of this podcast is actually to be more educational in nature. So I'll be picking apart the scenes, analyzing them from a more analytical sort of sense, I guess, looking for the merit behind the scenes, how we can relate to the characters, what we can learn. Um, that's the main sort of point behind this podcast, so to speak. So um, just to give you a keynote, I guess, of what to look forward to and the basic structure of this podcast. So, um, Now, the major scene here in episode 11 occurs between 1320 and 2202 roughly. So um, keep that in mind. So I'll actually be getting into my analysis here of the that scene in particular called Ricchan's Dilemma in a short bit. Before I get into that, I just want to talk a little bit about um, this summer 2014 anime season, which actually kicked off roughly a week ago. I think. Um, uh, Check out my first YouTube video. Actually, it covered like what anime titles to look out for, which titles may be inspirational or not. So um, I'm gonna say that there's two titles that we already accepted, that we took a look at their content and analyzed them and said, yeah, these titles definitely, they're inspirational. They have merit. The characters in the setting mesh together well in that sort of believable um, setting. It gives you that believable setting and experience. So um, in that podcast, I go over what exactly inspirational anime is. As you might expect, it's anime that I know I hate to use like the definition of another word in the definition of what I'm talking about, but again, anime that is inspirational, stuff that can motivate you, inspire you. Most importantly, anime that you can relate to. Um, so there's no crazy action or battle. This isn't Dragon Ball Z or One Piece. So the so so mainly you're looking at true slice of life and romance, drama, sports, music genres primarily. So that when I say inspirational anime, that's mainly what I'm talking about. Um, um, so two titles here: Glass Slip and Ao Ao Haru Ride. I know I always get tripped up on the first part of that, but that it's also called Blue Spring Ride. The English translation, I guess. Which I have no idea what that means. I'm still trying to figure out what Blue Spring Ride means. But if you're looking for shows to watch this anime season, and you like slice of life, you like romance, I would definitely recommend AO Horror Ride and Glass Slip, two excellent titles. Glass Slip episode 2 actually debuted today. I haven't seen it yet, but it's the first episode was great. That's all I'm going to say about it. So, and Blue Spring Ride as well. Amazing episode. So, if you like slice of life, if you like romance, two titles you should be checking out. Um, Now, okay. As I already mentioned, this podcast is a non-YouTube. Is the YouTube version, which means it's. Unfortunately, I can't do a play-by-play of the scene where I talk about the scene and then I analyze. I talk about that. I show the scene and then I talk about it. As like a play-by-play. Unfortunately, I can't do that because of YouTube and various copyright or issues and things like that. So. Um, we'll be working with some still images. I know that sounds a little boring, but again, please, if you need something to follow along, pull up the link in our video description. It'll provide a link to the scene in question that I'll be talking about. So, if you're more of a visual person, um, you can bring up that video, play it along, and uh, that'll help for those types of people that need visual cues and things like that. Um, Now, a little bit about Bokura before I get started. It's a series that's very heavy on the comedy. as I haven't mentioned yet, but as I'm mentioning now, it's surprisingly deep if you take a step back. If you examine the characters, if you examine Ricchan, if you examine, she's a very interesting character. Uh, on the surface, she may look like a introverted girl that just reads books, but her character is actually surprisingly deep. So, if you take a step back from this series and examine it as a whole, there's many things you can relate to um, from a social standpoint, from a relationship standpoint. So there's a lot of that's what I when I talk about merit in a title, that's exactly what I mean. Um, there's a lot to be learned. You can look at experiences of the characters on screen and sort of relate them to things you may be going through in real life. So um, your viewing experience, so to speak, could very well be educational. You may be motivated, you may be inspired, um, you may be sort of relate to the characters in a way, uh, looking at your own life. So that's what I mean when I bring up merit uh, in a particular anime title. Um, so the two main characters now that I'll be discussing in this scene are Ricchan, as I mentioned. She also goes by Ritsu, Ritsu. Um, Ricchan is sort of her, uh, I guess, pet name. In Japan, they have what is the term? It's social. Uh, they address people differently depending on their social status. Sort of like in the USA, you have Mr., Miss, Mrs. Uh, they address depending on a person's age and their status. They use different. Instead of us in the U.S., we attach the formality on the beginning of a person's name. In Japan, they sort of tack it on at the end. So like Chan and Sensei. Uh, what are the other ones here? Kun. Uh, I, no, I'm not a expert on everything Japan, but normally when you use Chan as a uh, formality, it it's addressing a young girl or woman. Um, that's why Ri-chan that's her sort of pet name, so to speak. And Usa-kun, because he's a male, they use kun as the uh, formality. I know there's an official term for that, but I just can't remember it right now. So sorry, guys. Please, please correct me on the official sort of Japanese formality term they use for kun and chan and sensei and the other sort of terms. Um, so yeah, that's my analysis on that. We're gonna. I know I've sort of gone off topic here, but we're actually gonna get straight into the analysis of the episode here. Now, you may see along the right-hand side of the screen, we have different topics we're going to be covering here in this scene. Um, you'll be seeing a picture of a random picture of someone from the series um, to sort of signify which topic I'm on. So that's sort of what we're going to be using to mark the various topics. Um, so our first topic here, making friends, having a common interest. I'll go into that here. I'm going to switch to the next slide. All right. So, Here we have Maymura. Her last name is Maymura. I actually forgot her first name, but she's the other central figure that I'll mainly be talking about. Maymura on the left-hand side and Ricchan on the right. So here they're sharing a book, and um, now the topic I'm covering here is uh, when you go to make friends, it's in the real world, really. That's the comparison I'm making, or even online. I mean, making friends, it's important to have some sort of common interest. Um, it just allows two people to bond closer, to have that thing in common where they can uh, talk about, share fun times with, bond with. So in this example, we have the two friends here. They're sharing a book, and that's a sort of common interest. Um, so if you face reality, you look at, okay, say you don't share any common ground at all with a potential friend. Well, this is not always going to be true, but a lot of the times, um, the conversations are going to be boring. They're going to be monotone. They're going to not have that life and spark to them that you need. I mean, um, now I'm definitely not the best conversationalist, so just taking me as an example, it's like, okay, um, you greet somebody, you're like, hey, how are you? How are you doing? Nice weather we have outside, and what did you do last night? It's like you're grasping for straws. It's like, okay, I know that's probably a conversation you may have with someone you're not even totally familiar with, which is probably true, but um, it's like, hey, we don't share any common ground. What do I talk about? You're fishing for topics, as I mentioned, and you don't have that interest in common where you can easily discuss things and share experiences. It's just um, it makes it difficult from a friendship standpoint, from a relationship standpoint, to have very little in common. It just makes things difficult for both parties involved. Now, if you look at Ricchan as an individual here, she's very introverted. She doesn't very much to herself. She doesn't actively seek out friends. She's probably perfectly content with being uh, without friends and more of a loner. And I definitely don't blame her. Friends come in handy for sure. Um, it's good to have people you can do stuff with for sure. But sometimes, now I may be in the minority of people saying this, but sometimes if you find the wrong friends, the wrong type of friends, they are more trouble than they're worth. Um, they're, what I mean by that is you're actually at a disadvantage um, by having friends, um, for sure. If you don't find the right friends, if you get in the wrong crowd, it's going to be hard for anybody. I mean, so as I was saying, Ricchan here, very introverted. However, in this particular instance, with we have Maymura here who confronts Ricchan. They share a common interest. That's a very good starting point. They have something to talk about. They have something to share in common. They have that activity, which is reading, that draws the two of them together. So that's definitely starting their friendship off on the right foot, so to speak. Um, I talked a little bit about Maimura randomly approaching Ricchan out of the blue, which kind of rare, but especially considering how introverted and Ricchan is. She's a loner, as I mentioned. So it's kind of rare for people to approach you having this sort of personality, but it's very, very rare. Speaking from personal experience, if you're a guy and you're like Ricchan, pretty much no one is going to approach you. Not entirely a bad thing, but that's just reality. Um, so if you're a guy, you keep to yourself. You're shy. No one. People are gonna leave you alone. I mean, if you want to be left alone, that's a good thing. But if you're seeking out friendships and you feel lonely, that's definitely not a good thing. You have to realize, okay, so if I want something, I have to take action. That's something to keep in mind, and that's something that this opening segment is telling us here. Um, so, women and girls, they will be approached by the same gender, obviously by the opposite gender. So that's just something with uh, being a woman, they get approached. Guys, not so often. Um, okay. Uh, More about this scene here. You'll notice that in the opening minutes here, Ricchan is practically on cloud nine. She's very happy, excited about what's to come in the friendship, um, which is fairly normal if you consider Ricchan's situation. Like, I'm sure she hasn't met anyone. Looking at the show itself, she hasn't met anyone really who she could call her friend in a very long time. So it's normal to be on cloud nine in a friendship, in a relationship, just starting out. So that's um, now what I'm going to talk about later is that you don't want to be too high. You don't want to be like on cloud 9,000. I hate to use that pun, but 9,001. You don't want to be that high. You want to normalize yourself where you don't want to come crashing down too hard in case the relationship or the friendship doesn't go the way that you want it to. So you want to sort of keep your emotions steady, not be too excited, not get your hopes too high, because if if you if your expectations are too high and things come crashing down, it's just gonna end up bad for you. So uh, um, I actually had more commentary here, but since I'm not doing a play-by-play, it's kind of hard to do it. Let's see here, but there's a part of the scene where Ricchan she takes a moment and compares Maimura and Usakun, and she's like, why is this person so talkative? She's asking like 10 questions in the span of 2 minutes. Um, so that sort of commentary suggests that she likes quieter guys. People are probably quieter people, but I'm just comparing Usakun to sort of make the comparison and say that, hey, Ricchan probably likes quieter guys, people who give her space in a relationship, and probably friendship, and a friendship as well. So uh, it's Maymara here is sort of intruding into our personal bubble, so to speak, and it's like, whoa, too much, too fast. So okay, um, more about Usa and Richan's sort of friendship slash relationship. I know it's more of a friendship, but Usa wants it to be a relationship. Now, if you look at their if you look at the circumstances of their friendship, it's kind of rare. I mean, um, not often do you have a friend of the opposite gender, unless it's like a next door neighbor scenario. Uh, but I mean, living in the same place uh, is definitely a rare occurrence. So that's just one. I mean, anime is not going to be 101% realistic, but not saying it doesn't happen. It's just definitely in the minority. But so, I mean, that is a common cliche for to have the cast, the main characters living very close to each other. It's just something you see often, but in real life, it's not an everyday occurrence. But looking at if you look at USA and Richan at this stage of the show and of the episode, they're definitely more friends. They're well, they're friends. They're more than acquaintances, but not anything more. Um, when you look at when you look at progressing a relationship in particular, the most common route is to become friends first. I mean, being in a social setting, it's like, okay, I'm gonna talk to these people, get to know them a little bit better, and I mean, they're close to me. I see them every day. Why not say hello and perhaps make something out of it? Um, however, that also has its downsides as well. I mean, everyone hates the dreaded friend zone. No one wants to be in the friend zone. But so uh, all I'm going to say is that it works for some people and it doesn't work for other people. Uh, in in the I'm going to say around the teenage years and the college years, it's definitely to your advantage to play that friend game, slowly progressing the friendship into something more. Um, when you look at things realistically, no one's gonna, unless you have the wrong intentions, unless you're struck by one of the seven deadly sins of lust, you're not gonna fall in love with someone you don't know. So normally, how it works is the closer you get to someone in a friendship environment, that gives you more opportunities to transform the friendship into something more. So, however, I'm going to say later in life, uh, things don't always work to your advantage because um, for many number of reasons, which I don't really want to go into right now, but I'm just going to say that there's different ways to go about a relationship. And USA in this entire anime, that's just an anime example of someone making this snow. What am I saying here? The slow crawl from a acquaintance to a friendship to possibly something more. So sometimes it takes a long time. Um, So that is definitely one of its drawbacks. Um, okay, I think I pretty much covered the making friends. It's important to have a common interest, um, and the friends you're going to keep. Um, I say it's very important. We're going to move on to our next topic here: personality mismatch in friendships. Okay. Now, as I already talked about a little bit earlier, if you look at Maymura's personality, uh, she's the polar opposite of what Ricchan is. Who's very laid back, introverted to herself. Maymura is all in your face. She's an extrovert. She has to go to the bathroom with you. She has to greet you 5 times in the morning. That is a prime example of what a personality mismatch in a friendship results in a lot of, not every time, of course, but a lot of the time. Um, in this, from what you can see in the picture here, Maymura is sort of, well, what she's doing, she was asking Ricchan to go to the bathroom like 5 times. I know it's probably an exaggeration about women in the restroom, but um, they do go to the restroom in groups and often talk in the restroom. Guys typically don't. I mean, they probably, I mean, they often go to the restroom together, but they're not going to be chatting it up in the restroom. It's more like do your business and get out. But anyways, here, um, so she asked, Maymura asked Ricchan like 10 times in one school day to go to the bathroom with her. And as you can see, Maymura is just excessively clingy, and it starts to grate on Ricchan's nerves. It's like, what? Like, get out of my face! Do we have to go to the bathroom this many times? Um, so in a friendship, it looks like Ricchan cannot tolerate someone who's clingy, and I don't blame her. I mean, if I had, I personally don't want my friends in particular, to be clingy. I mean, especially later in life when you have your own people have their own lives, they often have families. You don't want a friend hanging all in your business. That's just me. Uh, Now, when it comes to a relationship, it's a different story. To just speaking about my preferences, I don't mind someone who's clingy in a relationship. That's just how I uh, personal preferences, because they're two different. It's like comparing apples and oranges. Uh, that's probably a bad comparison, but anyways, uh, it's clinginess is good in one environment, good in one setting or case, and it's bad in another case. So you have to wonder here: does she really tolerate? Will she tolerate clinginess in a friendship, or what am I saying, relationship? We don't know. If you look at Usa-kun, is he seems like the clingy type, or could be the clingy type in a relationship, just by how much he stalker. He's looking just by looking at how much he stalks Ricchan. He's probably the clingy type. That's just my assumption. Uh, we don't know for sure, but anyways, I don't want to give too many spoilers, uh, but anyways, Maymar, she's definitely clingy. Ricchan she wants to have her own space, and that's the personality not matching up. Um, um, there's a scene that occurs later on where I wish I could uh, play it and to give you a better sort of play-by-play, but uh, there was a segment in this scene where Ricchan at the beginning of the scene she first meets Maymura, right? She learns, ironically or strangely enough, she didn't know how to text. I mean, that's unheard of with women, and I mean, women and young girls who they should be able to text at I don't know 120 words per minute. But here, Ricchan didn't know how to text, and at the end of the day, or I mean, at the after like a week, she's like a texting master, and she's forcing herself to text and respond to Maymur. It's like, oh my God, I'm forced to respond. Um, this is a common social pitfall, an example of a social pitfall trap where Ricchan, she met this new person and she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to be like, get out of my face. I don't want to talk to you anymore. She either doesn't want to do that or she's incapable of doing it. And frankly speaking, that's probably a little bit rude, but I'm sure that's what she's feeling inside. Like, I need my space. Get out of here. I don't want to talk to you. You're being evasive. You're entering my bubble. Um, but she's sort of trapped, and to give Maymur her time. Um, and this is the result of the mismatch of personalities clashing together. There will be disagreements happening. Two people, the people in the friendship will get irritated with each other. Um, so if you look at Maymura here, she's the extrovert. She wants to hang out in a group. She wants to be around people. And Ricchan, she doesn't. She wants to, um, classic case of extrovert versus introvert. Introverts want to be more in a one-on-one setting, more intimate friendships rather than numerous. Extroverts just want to be friends with everybody in the room. They don't care if they barely know the person. They want to be the life of the party. Uh, and as I mentioned, there's going to be that mismatch, and two people are rarely going to get along in the long term. We're going to move into our third topic here. Friends' intentions. Now, we have this picture of this group hangout here. It's called, this group of people are going to what they call a mixer in Japan. Now, what that is a bunch of girls and guys, they get together, almost like going to a bar or going to a party, but you need to have an even number of girls and guys. So if you have three, for example, if you have three girls and four boys, the whole meetup is not going to work out because oh my God, there's an uneven number of people. Someone's going to be left out. Um, so if you look at Maymura here, and the intention of someone who rushed onto Ricchan in this friendship so quickly, you have to wonder exactly what was her intention. Did she genuinely want to be friends with Ricchan, or did she just want to fill this slot in a mixer? I mean, now that may not sound so cruel, but often people just want to be a friend to get something out of you, and ultimately they're just taking advantage of you. So that will certainly be to your detriment. And that's what I mean when I talk about the fact that sometimes friends are just, they're going to be more trouble than they're worth. So unless you carefully pick and choose who you're going to be friends with, um, I'm going to say you're probably going about it wrong. Um, so, um, and the conflict here, it was actually, I know I'm throwing a little bit of episode 12 before I'm getting to it, but there is no spoilers for the actual what happens in episode 12, but it's just the extension of this scene. Um, there was a disagreement about, um, why did Maimura, she seems like the antagonist because she brought she brought Ricchan here. What is she doing? Oh my God. Usa-kun's reaction was like, wow, well, she's in trouble. I have to save her. So, again, they painted, and at the end of episode 11, they painted Maimura like the bad guy. Or the bad girl, I guess. Like, why did she do that? Oh my God. But anyways, I was talking about friends' intentions here. Um, Ultimately, just looking realistically, looking at things realistically, the world is very cruel out there. People, as I mentioned, they just want to take advantage of you, get something out of you, monetary, physical, whatever it may be. Uh, in my example, people, from my personal experience, people just wanted to, just one example, of course, they wanted to just use me for gas money, and they wanted me to drive them places. They weren't really my friend, but because I was shy, because I was soft-spoken, and because I had so few friends, I felt accepted. Um, where in reality, this person just saw me as something easy, and they saw me as something to their benefit and disposable, but they needed me for a certain purpose. So in this case, you have to, like, did Maymar, did she want to use Ricchan for a specific purpose and no other reason? Um, that episode, that question is actually answered in the beginning of episode 12, which I will cover here. Um, uh, the Okay, I already touched upon Ricchan being an introvert. Uh, she's brought to this mixer totally out of place. Um, and there's this, you can see at the end of the scene, there's like multiple question marks coming up, and she's like making I know, she's making these noises like, I know it's supposed to show that she's in pain. I don't really want to make humor out of this scene, but really, she's in physical and emotional pain, discomfort during this scene. Um, she's around people she doesn't know. It's like, what happened here? She may think that she was a little bit betrayed. Her trust in Maimura, she most likely felt it was betrayed. And if you're an outsider looking in on this scene, you're like, hey, Ricchan, she was totally like betrayed here. Maimura just betrayed her trust and her friendship. Um, so, as an introvert, not a situation you want to be in around a bunch of people you don't know. Speaking personally, I'm definitely more of an introvert. I don't want to be in that situation. It's not a situation that I thrive in. I mean, I can handle it, but why? It's not some place I want to choose to put myself in. Um, but again, it was probably more the fact that Ricchan felt a little bit betrayed, her trust, as if her trust was simply betrayed here, which, believe it or not, happens um, very often in the early stages of a friendship or relationship. I mean, again, it takes a long time to build up that trust, that very important foundation where you totally trust another person. It's not something that is easily gained. So oftentimes people become the victim in the early stages of uh, these relationships where they're ripe for the picking, and that's how um, I mean that's oftentimes that's how people get taken advantage of. So um, the friend's intentions, you have to put yourself on guard when people move quickly in a friendship or a relationship. You have to wonder. Yeah, you have to take a step back from you have to examine things, the complete picture from a realistic point of view. Like, okay, is this person for real? Or do they are the, are the words that are coming out of their mouth the truth, or are they sugar coated just to uh, initially impress me? Um, that's something, again, just to watch out for. Now, um, you may be wondering here, I've been talking about introverts and extroverts, almost as if you may be thinking I'm painting a negative light for introverts. That's definitely not true. Moving into our fourth topic here, uh, and here you actually see the Ricchan in the mixer, surrounded by people she doesn't know. She has Maymur on her on her side, but well, maybe not on her side here, but again, she's surrounded by people who she doesn't know. Uh, she's experiencing that pain and discomfort, as like I already described. Um, but back on subject of introverts, why change? You may think I'm painting introverts in a negative light, that you're socially worse off being an introvert. That's totally not the case. I mean, I'm an introvert myself. I choose to be that way. That's mm, that's just how I am. And actually, surprisingly, that's how a lot of people are. And there's definitely nothing wrong with it at all. Um, so introverts shouldn't feel that pressure to change. I know you look at society. Um, Society sort of forces you, and I do agree uh, to a certain extent. You have to be an active, outgoing, outgoing individual to get certain things that you want. Now that there is a difference. There's a difference between being the life of the party, which is more extrovert type personality, being friends with everyone, talking to everyone, always running your mouth about. I mean, not to put the hate on people that just talk about uh, random stuff all day, for example, but um, there's a difference between being an extrovert 100% of the time. I mean, being an introvert 100% of the time, and like introverted people can open up and talk when they need to, talk when they have something to say, open up to people once they firmly trust them. Uh, be outgoing when they need to be, but not all the time because maybe that's not how they are. I mean, uh, but still, even if people who have problems um, just communicating with people, I mean, hell, I have problems all the time with uh, communicating, holding conversations with people. Um, and often at times it's because I don't have anything to say or I don't share a common interest with someone, which is the most likely example of why I personally, as an introvert, don't have much to say. I'm not that outgoing type to greet everyone, people I don't know, to hold a, I don't know, lengthy conversation with someone I just met. That's just not how I am. And uh, there should be no sort of pressure on an individual to change because you really don't have to. Um, like I mentioned, it does help in this social environment that we live in to be outgoing when you need to be, to take action when you need to be. I mean, when you need to take action, but you don't have to feel that pressure. You have to identify the circumstances where you need to, uh, most importantly, take the action that you need or whatever sort of first step, breaking the ice that you need to do. But as a whole, there's nothing wrong with being an introvert, being quiet and to yourself. So uh, you don't have to like you don't have to shape your personality or change your personality to be more of a extrovert and outgoing person because really you look at Ricchan and her situation, her dilemma, so to speak. Finally talk about the title of this episode. Uh, but you don't have to you don't have to be forced to change and feel that pressure and that stress to change because you don't need to. People will accept you for who you are as an individual. Uh, and the prime example of that, just taking this episode, I mean, taking this, yes, taking this scene, but taking this entire anime series apart, you look at Usa and Ricchan. Um, uh, Usa, he totally accepts Ricchan for who she is. Uh, he's actually fascinated with her. He has this fascination um, with Ricchan. There's something about her, really, that sets her apart from other women. Um, this is probably the fact, it's honestly, when you look at women, um, oftentimes, like the social norm is to uh, that women are outgoing, that they are with their friends, that they are chatty, that very social beings. Now Richan, she's like the polar opposite of this. She's to herself. She's shy, introverted, and this is like a rare thing. Um, not 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 like I'm comparing actual real life statistics of the personalities of women, but um, I'm definitely going to say that the social norm that I already talked about that uh, sort of that women are more social and outgoing, and Ricchan is the opposite of this. So for whatever reason, USA is fascinated with this. I mean, with Ricchan compared to other women. Um, um, when you speaking as a guy, when you look at cases like this, it's actually an interesting sort of thing, a fascination, so to speak, uh, because, uh, like I mentioned, it's sort of like uh, normally guys they go crazy over a girl who's into video games, for example, because I mean let's face it, not every girl is into video games. It's definitely the minority of women who are more of the in the hardcore crowd. I'm using gamer lingo here, but I'm lots of women probably play games casually, but they're not hardcore sort of part of the guy group that play video games uh, more than a casual player would. So when guys come across, I'm just uh, I know I'm probably speaking for uh, the majority of guys, but I mean it's just this rare thing, and you're like, wow, I'm just fascinated with this girl that plays video games. It's a rare thing, and wow, I'm like instantly attracted to her because of the fact that she plays video games. And this all cycles back to that common interest thing I brought up earlier about making friends and sharing that common interest, be it a relationship or friendship. So, um, but regardless, I know I went on a tangent there. USA he accepts Ricchan entirely. He accepts her personality, her physical attractiveness, um, everything pretty much. He accepts Ricchan in her entirety, regardless of the, despite, in spite of the fact that she's an introvert. So that's just one example, um, proving that yes, people will accept you. So you shouldn't feel that stress and that pressure to change. Um, okay, let's see here. Um, that that keynote here, uh, not feeling the pressure to change as an introvert, was the main um, keynote, so to speak, of this subject matter. So, um, let's see here. I wanted to talk about now in the complete podcast or the first take of this podcast, which is on our site. I actually mentioned um, I made this joke about we see Ricchan sitting here. She's not. It's rare that she's not getting hit on. So I'm going to cover a little bit about a couple scenes in episode 12 now, which is actually the extension of the first uh, podcast take, so to speak. So there will be new content. I mean, so if you already saw the first version of this podcast, again, there's going to be new content. I'm going to talk a little bit about episode 12, providing you more examples and more proof about the regarding the topics that I'm discussing. So um, I'm not going to say I'm not. There's not going to be spoilers, so to speak. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but I am going to talk a little bit about the events in episode 12 here. Now, as I mentioned, I made that joke that, wow, Ricchan is sitting here. She's surprisingly cute. Why is no one hitting on her? Come episode 12, now that all changes. Actually, someone does end up hitting on her. uh, this character here, I don't know his name because he's a minor character, but um, bringing us to our next topic, episode 12 extension. I don't actually have the time frame for when these scenes occurred, but because I haven't actually given them names yet. But when I made the first podcast, as I mentioned, I didn't see episode 12 yet, so I was like, okay, I'm going out on a limb here. This is what I observed. I have a lot to say on this topic, multiple topics, but I kind of went on a limb and with my analysis, not knowing how episode 12 was going to uh, change the events, so to speak. So um, here we have this male character hitting on Ricchan. If you have seen the actual episode 12, you'll see that he's very forceful. He uses physical contact. Um, he's very aggressive. I mean, it was probably I'm sure it was sexual harassment. He's tugging on her. He's very aggressive in his choice of word. And he's really inside of Ricchan's bubble. So I mean, um, now this is one example. Okay, this is not how you want to hit on women. uh, One example how guys should not hit on women. You want to respect women, give them their space. You don't want to put them in an awkward position. You don't want to do anything that is not wanted, so to speak. So, well, I guess I'll talk a little bit about this. Um, if let's say you're aggressive, um, you're a guy and you're hitting on a woman aggressively. Believe it or not, yes, you can get in trouble, serious trouble for that, for this. I know from firsthand experience. Um, the Now the one place you don't want to do this. Yeah, honestly, yeah, I just as an onlooker, often it disgusts me. But first of all, now I'm not speaking for all women, but I'm sure many women don't want to be touched inappropriately. They don't want to be sexually harassed. So, but as a guy, uh, in the workplace now, you don't want to do this. You don't want to. In the workplace, it's about work and nothing else. That's how it should be. Um, Now, there are actual rules and laws. I mean, you don't want to go over the line no matter where you are. But I know guys often think it's a game. It's like, oh hey, I can tease any woman and touch her anywhere and she doesn't care. But that's definitely not true. But if you're in the workplace and you do this sort of shenanigans, it is very likely that there's going to be risk on the line that you have something to lose. Uh, it is not something to play around with. So, um, well, when you're at work, you should be focused on work and not playing around with, messing around with women, because you can lose a lot more than your uh, dignity, so to speak. You can lose a lot more than getting rejected. You can actually lose your job. So, but as I mentioned, this is not how you want to go about uh, going after women and asking them out. And you you have to respect women and give them their space. Okay, so now uh, our very last topic here, friendship breakups. Um, Now the ironic thing is, as I mentioned, is that I didn't know when I made the first version of this podcast. I didn't even watch episode 12. Like I didn't know how the show was going to end. I didn't know how Maimura and Ricchan's relationship was going to conclude, or I guess um, I didn't know what was going to happen. So. Um, when I saw episode 12 after making the first podcast, I was like, I definitely have to bring this up in the YouTube version, because the events that happen in episode 12 are living proof that I'm not just running my mouth, that I'm not just like yabbering about stuff that's not even true or not relevant. It's 100% true, because if you look at Maimura and Ricchan, they had personality conflicts. They uh, they had the whole introvert and extrovert uh, personalities clashing together, and not only did they get in a argument, things did not work out in the end. The friendship didn't last. Um, so friendship breakups. Okay. Um, so this right here is proof that ultimately the personality mismatch caused everything to come crumbling down. Um, so okay. First off, Maimura and Ricchan got into a little argument about Maimura took Ricchan's picture and she started without her permission, mind you. She took her picture and she just started sharing it around, and I don't know uh, if they didn't actually reference like things like Facebook and Twitter, but it was almost like you took someone else's picture and without their permission you posted it all over your Facebook and Twitter and posted it all on the net without their permission. And that's exactly what happened. I would be extremely I'd be extremely upset and peeved at Maimura as well in this situation, because she did not ask Ricchan's permission to go do all, doing all this stuff with her picture. But that's how the argument initially started, and things sort of spiraled out of control because, well, Ricchan was in the right, definitely. She sort of manned up the courage, and she told Maimura off a little bit. She was like, "Okay, hey, I don't want to be I don't want to be the girl you just used to hang out with. I need my space." Um, Man, I forgot exactly what she said, but she was pretty much like, "I need my space. I'm not that girl just you used to hang out with. You need to respect me." So okay. Um, now the cruel reality here is uh, okay, so at the end of that scene, that little argument, um, there may have been some slight confusion as to what happened. I don't exactly um, remember. Like, I may have my analysis may be off, but um, the way that I saw it was that Ricchan still wanted to be friends despite that little argument, but that's how I took it. Um, but what actually happened was that a couple days later, Maymara decides like, okay, I can't handle this girl. She doesn't want to. She doesn't want to do the things I want to do. She doesn't. She doesn't want to hang out at mixers and with guys. So, I'm gonna ditch her. Um, Now that's exactly what happens. Maymara sort of ditches uh, Ricchan like a disposable piece of trash. I don't need you. Okay, I can't use you. I'm gonna throw you in the trash can. Um, Now, okay, so what we see here is we have Usa and Ricchan. It, I may be wrong on this, but I really wish I knew exactly what happened in this scene. It's like I couldn't quite. Maybe someone else knows exactly what went down, but from what I saw, I think it looked like Ricchan was attempting to call uh, Maymara to, because she thought they were still friends, but Maymara again had other plans. But I think uh, Ricchan was attempting to call Maymara, but um, as Maymara was walking away with her little posse of girlfriends, she sort of doesn't pick up the phone or something, and sort of dishes her call. And then she goes into this little spiel about, okay, um, but I do have her exact words. Now, the actual translation may differ, but pretty much this is what Maymara says out loud, and here we have Ricchan on the corner overhearing her exact words. So I mean, that's got to be a crushing blow. But um, this is what Maymara says in her sort of breakup speech, so to speak. I mean, it's sort of ironic that um, Ricchan was right around the corner. But anyways, this is what Maymara says. She's like, when asked about why isn't she seeing Ricchan anymore from her friends, she's like, uh, we didn't really click. Or, well, she seems to prefer being left alone. And her friends say she does give off that impression. Mamoru's like, so yeah, I'm just trying to distance myself. And then you see the you see the sort of camera angle of Maymora and her glasses, like with that evil glare. I know that's like a very a very cliched thing to do. Um, but then she's a nice girl though, and then she sort of runs off with her posse of girlfriends, and that's the end of their um, friendship. Um, yeah. Now, actually, I'm sort of throwing in a little bit of humor, but actually, this scene was actually pretty serious. I mean, uh, you look at Maymura here, this sort of assessment that she made about uh, Ricchan. I mean, that's pretty much the cruel reality. I mean, it, it's that's how a lot of people were going to view introverted people. They're going to make these generalizations about them, these stereotypes that um, they don't know the person. You know, they think they're bad people or that they're on a lower level uh, just because they're not all social and talking every second. Um, and I know this firsthand, but personally, I don't really care what people think. No, no one should really care what people think. They shouldn't let other people get to their head. But unfortunately, the harsh reality is that people are going to think these things. They're going to think. They're going to make these generalizations about people, stereotypes even. But that's a whole nother subject. Um, but as I mentioned, Maymura, she stuck these labels onto Ricchan, um, labeling her as she's this, and this, such and such way. She's on a lower level than myself. I don't need her. Um, but what people what people don't understand is that oftentimes people are how they are. A large part of the time, people are how they are just because of various events that happen in their life, and that's those series of events. They uh, sort of form the person they are today, and that's what I mean when I say you don't know a person. There's no way you can know a person, judge a person uh, without getting to know them. You can't just be an outsider and say, okay, hey, this person, hey, they don't amount to anything. They don't talk. They're quiet. Okay, maybe they are that way because of such and such way. Uh, you really need to respect others and not throw these sort of labels onto others without even getting to know the person. Um, so traumatic experiences really they definitely play a large role in shaping people, how they are, how their personality is. So I know from personal experience. I talked a little bit about um, the say trying to date the opposite gender in the workplace setting, and I'm talking from personal experience that it's not a good idea because not only do you have that stigma that okay, if the relationship doesn't work out, I have to see this person every day. We're not going to get along. It's going to be living hell. Not only that, but just simply advancing on a woman in the workplace has the risk of you losing the job, and it has a risk that you can no longer pay your bills. So it's not worth it. That's just my experience. I mean, that's just my opinion. Um, and that's why when I go to work, I go to work to work. I don't go around. I don't go to work to fool around. I don't go to work to make friends. I do the job. That's my primary intent when I step into the workplace. Um, and I feel that's ultimately how it should be. Now, all right. So as I mentioned, from concluding this scene here, it looked like Maymura, she broke things off here in advance, uh, giving yes, she did give Ricchan the cold shoulder. She wasn't even she didn't she just brushed her off. She didn't even like face her face to face and say she was is probably spite a little bit of she was feeling spiteful. She wanted revenge. She was like, okay, screw you. I don't want to be your friend anymore. So I'm just gonna give you the cold shoulder. It was definitely harsh. If you look at this later on in episode 12, Ricchan, she takes the whole breakup scene really to heart. She takes it very hard. It affects her deeply. I mean, she came crashing down really hard. Um, that's the reality of things. I mean, her emotions were just ripped out from under her. Um, I mean, and that's what I mean. Like, um, if you're on cloud nine and your expectations are too high, when if things go bad, you're just gonna come crashing down, and there will be nothing to brace your fall. So, unfortunately, because things went sort of unfavorably, and ultimately Ricchan, she just came crashing down like a rock, and her emotions tumbled underneath her. But I feel ultimately it was a learning experience for Ricchan, that she certainly learned something from this whole interaction, and well, I guess part of her, she felt that something was missing in her life. She was to herself. She seemed very content. Maybe she wanted to try having friends. She didn't like actively dismiss Maymur, like, get out of my face. I don't even want to have any friends. But I guess she was giving it a try. Um, and that's the thing about friendships. Um, Ultimately, yes, they're very nice to have. I admit that when you find the right friends, you can make friendships that last a lifetime. But when you don't, it's like they're disposable, and someone can just throw you in a trash can when they don't need you anymore. Um, so the sad and depressing reality is that Ricchan had a lot of fun. That because of their common interest, she had a lot of fun hanging out with Ricchan. But and capital letters, but because of the fact that they had a personality mismatch, this was living proof that uh, things did not work out, and ultimately Ricchan was just hurt at the end of the day. So, okay, that is my sort of analysis. I've talked way longer than I thought I would have here. Um, the first podcast episode was actually, I can't believe I talked this long. The first podcast episode was 50 minutes, and I included the actual scenes, like a play-by-play. So I don't know how I went on this long, but uh, now I do have. I'm going to try to wrap this up in about 8 minutes or so. I have one more main segment to cover, but this concludes my analysis of Ricchan's dilemma and the episode 12 extension there. Uh, as I mentioned, a lot to talk about uh, in this few couple of scenes here. I had a lot to say about the subject. I felt strongly about it, so that's why that was my primary intent of doing this podcast. Uh, so I'm going to move on to our next segment, which I do like incorporating uh, into the podcast here because it's sort of, I think it's a nice little segment. It's our featured inspirational quote from anime. Um, so here we are. Our inspirational quote is actually from Nana. It's from the series Golden Time, said by Nana. There's a character her name is Nana in the series Golden Time. Actually, uh, what was I saying? Nana now is actually from the anime with the name Nana. So she's the punk rock girl with the short black hair and the red lipstick and leather jacket. But She's actually, as I mentioned, her character in Golden Time is like a cameo from the original Nana series. But anyways, onto this quote. Um, Here's a quote. Nana says, "Well, I believe there's no such thing as a 20-year-old who knows what they should do." Now, this quote, yes, it's entirely true. Uh, Young people in general don't, I mean, I know people don't know what they're going to do with their lives. Uh, I, I mean, I'm in my mid 20s and I mean, I have a plan, but it's like, wow, life can be unpredictable and unexpected. I still don't know how things are going to end up, and really no one knows how things are going to end up. So, um, looking at this quote here, they very much true. When you're in your high school years, your college years, even growing up, you know, into high school, you're oftentimes you don't have that firm, concrete plan of what you're going to do with the rest of your life. And that's perfectly normal. I mean, chances are if you know exactly what you're going to do and how your life is going to turn out, you're doing something wrong. Um, so now, the now during I can't remember what episode where Nana says this in Golden Time, but there was during this scene she says like three or four very heartfelt quotes, very inspirational quotes, in a span of like 2 minutes. I mean, it was a great scene. Um, I think it was when Banry uh, was sort of down on himself. He was like, "I'm beating myself up," and wow, it was. I mean, it was a very powerful scene. Golden Time was. It's actually all these anime that I feature in this quote segment are actually inspirational anime. So chances are they're slice of life, uh, romance titles. Um, uh, Now, as I was saying, Golden Time it's a show I recommend. Uh, it's an interesting story. One of my favorites, I would say. I am personally disappointed that it didn't get an English dub. I mean, it could still get an English dub, and please let's not start the sub versus dub debates. But I'm just saying, uh, I do watch subs for the most part, but hey, I like dubs now and then. But I was disappointed that no dub for Golden Time so far, anyways. Um, but you can actually, I think, um, actually, Sentai Filmworks is localizing Golden Time, so I obviously will have the subs. It will make a uh, stateside release. It's just not gonna have a dub, which I'm disappointed. I probably would have bought it if it had a dub, but unfortunately, that's just my opinion on it. Um, yeah, so, but the quote itself is very amazing quote. All right. Moving on here. Uh, I'm looking ahead at podcast episode 2. I would like to start working on it. Um, it takes, believe it or not, I'm not the best this is all a solo effort. I want it, I really would like it to be more than a solo effort, but, it takes a while for things to catch popularity and, you know, I try my best, but I'm nowhere near being an expert or professional, and I just speak from my heart, and I'm sure there's I know there's plenty of people out there that can give a better presentation than me, but I try my best. Um, so as I said, I would like this to someday be more than a solo effort. Uh, so I don't know if maybe you felt inspired or I don't know motivated. Well, I hope someone learned something today. That was my or someone was touched in some way. I hope. Uh, but looking towards podcast episode 2 that I would really like to um, get out, get produced sometime this be at the end of this month or maybe beginning of next month. Um, we'll see. But I do have the anime that I'm going to feature. It's White Album 2. Excellent series. Um, I have a lot to say about the series, so I don't really know. I mean, I feel like if I were to pick one individual scene from the show, I would not have enough to talk about. I mean, when I look at the series, I have a lot to talk about the series. But if I were to pick like a 2-minute scene, it's like, okay, I may not have enough to talk about. But chances are that the next podcast episode is going to be more of a, it's going to tie in more with the story. I mean, I did have a lot to say about this scene in particular, but it wasn't really like, okay, analyzing the story events. It was more like a detach it from detach it from the animation and looking at reality, which I still want to do, obviously, because that's the whole premise of, uh, I guess, this movement and the premise of this anime inspiration site and everything I founded was to relate events from anime in particular to your real life and the real world. So, um, but anyways. So, like I mentioned, I would love to get someone's participation uh, some way or another, so I could have someone else's input. If I'm talking to a wall, uh, then there's no point in really. I mean, I like doing these podcast episodes. I know I get several. I don't get many views, but you know, someone out there must like it, even though I get low exposure right now. I do get a couple thumbs up, so I do appreciate the thumbs up on the videos. So I know I'll go into the social aspects in a bit, but like if you like these podcast episodes, you can definitely show your support. Um, but I would definitely someday, like I would really appreciate, and I really want. I would like someone. I would appreciate, what am I trying to say here? I would love this to be more than a solo effort. So if someone would be inspired or motivated or just want to speak about White Album in some form or fashion, that would be amazing. So uh, I know we've been looking. You've probably read the entire slide and the time I've gone on this tangent, but um, if you feel so inclined to, if you have a little bit of time to spare and you want to contribute, if you want to make your voice heard, if you have a lot to say about White Album in particular, I would definitely incorporate. If I were to get at the minimum one entry, I would certainly incorporate it. I can promise that. And, if it's a serious sort of uh, response, I would definitely incorporate it. So, if you'd like to participate, I have this sort of questionnaire interview here. I don't think I'm gonna get. I mean, I could be wrong, uh, but I don't think I'm gonna get a sort of Skype. I would love a Skype interview, but that's probably not gonna happen unless someone's really willing at the beginning. But I'm certainly open to a Skype interview. But if you want to just either PM me on the forums or email me or even YouTube comment this questionnaire in. I would certainly feature it. So here we go. If you have a lot to say about White Album 2, I have some questions here that is sort of the foundation of what I want to ask and what I'm looking for. Um, so, what do you think about White Album 2 as a series? Do you like it, hate it? How would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10? So, give me your opinion on that. Um, Personally, what was the most inspirational scene in White Album to you using your definition of inspirational? Like I mentioned, you can use any definition of inspirational. What is inspirational to you? What is inspirational to you may not be inspirational to me, but it doesn't really matter for the purpose of this questionnaire. I just want to try to get a gauge on, do you think White Album 2 is inspirational in any capacity? If so, please provide your feedback. That goes into our next question here. Do you think White Album 2 could be educational in the sense where viewers can learn something after watching? And, that could be anything. That can even, you can relate to something and say, hey, this character did this. It turned out bad for them, so I'm not going to do that in real life. That's what I mean by relating and a title having merit and you learning something. Educational doesn't have to be like, hey, I learned how to do an arithmetic problem or or algebra problem. Or it's not like it can be a large part of it is learning socially what and what not to do, uh, or changing your mindset, for example. So that's what I mean when I say educational. It could be educational in any capacity. Do you think this show could be educational or inspirational? Uh, so. If so, if you were affected by the show in any capacity, please provide your feedback. How did this show personally impact you? Uh, because I would love to have someone else's input on the matter, not just me speaking from personal experience. So, uh, again, if you'd like to participate, please, uh, you can contact me on the email, on the forums, on the comment section of this YouTube channel, on the PMs, mail to someone. Yeah, I'm in charge of the channel, so if YouTube is most convenient to you, you can definitely contact me on YouTube, even Twitter. Uh, I'll go into our social, how can you contact me in a second, or how can you contact Anime Inspirations. Um, as if you haven't seen the sort of logo in the right hand corner of our screen, bottom hand corner, um, our website is animeinspirations.com. Um, we have community forums, media library where we upload the most inspirational scenes from anime. And we have this sort of community wiki. You can find out more information about inspirational anime. You can see every title that we have accepted so far uh, on our inspirational anime list. So if you want to check out more of the anime uh, that we're featuring, more of the anime that sort of uh, drive home this movement of uh, anime that is inspirational, motivational, and anime that you can relate to, check out our website, definitely. Um, you and you can certainly contact me on the forums there. We're always looking for new members. Um, I know it's a very small sort of establishment at the moment, but I'm personally uh, committed toward the effort, and I certainly want to, because anime is a very strong part of my life. I have a lot to say about it. It's a very niche subject. It's very It's not mainstream at all. Most people, when you bring up anime, are like, "What is that?" I don't even. What is? They're like, "What is anime?" And I know personally, it's like, who do I? Obviously, you can talk about anime with people on the internet, but when you go to real life, when you're in real life, it's like oftentimes it's like people do not watch the same shows that I watch. It's like if I were to bring it up, it's like people would have no idea what I'm talking about. But um, as I said in the first podcast episode, I remember I was like, but anyways, as I was saying, yes, it would be great if anime were to become more mainstream. But right now it's fine at the way it is. Uh, People like what they like. So as I mentioned, anime has had a pretty large impact in my life, um, and that's my main motivation for starting up this whole website and this whole sort of foundation for what my site is about. So please check out our website again, animeinspirations.com. Yeah, we're always looking for new members on our forum. If you uh, simply want to talk about anime, just don't be shy. I know our forums are really small right now, but I don't let it affect me. I'm sure one day, if we keep up the motivation that we have, it'll certainly grow. Um, you can also contact us, our Twitter now, at Inspiring Anime. You can tweet us, follow us if you like. If you like what our whole what we stand for. If you like what we stand for, and if you like our podcast, and if you like what we do, you can always follow us at Twitter. Um, our Facebook page now, facebook.com/anime inspiration. No S there. Uh, of course, our YouTube channel, youtube.com/anime inspirations. Um, you can always subscribe. Just simply hitting the subscribe button is actually a huge motivation. If the count goes up by one, it's like, okay, someone likes what I'm doing. I'm not just talking to a wall. Um, so, I mean, I'm not kidding. Every single thumbs up, every single view matters to me. Uh, it gives me that motivation to do the next episode and continue the content that I want to, the things that I want to talk about regarding anime. So certainly, if you like this podcast, you can definitely show it in a number of ways. Finally, say you want to email your questionnaire that I just showed on the previous screen, or I don't know, contact me about any site issues. Uh, that email is admin@animeinspirations.com, and I'm in charge of the email there, and I'm also the webmaster for the site. So if you have any site problems or anything, shoot me an email, or if you want to submit your questionnaire. All right, guys. Looking at the time, this has gone on nearly 2 hours. I can't believe I talked this long about this subject, but yes, here we are at the hour and 45-minute mark. But the good news is that this is the end of, or maybe the bad news, if you like my voice, I guess. This is the end of the uh, our podcast episode 1 YouTube version. Now, if you watch the original episode on our website, you may be looking at the time and say, "Oh my God, it was only 50 minutes." And this podcast is an hour and 45 minutes. I got ripped off. Well, I mean, maybe. I know I sort of ranted on for a little bit, um, but uh, there is each version of the podcast has different things to offer. So if you haven't watched this series, uh, Bokura, why, and you just want to check out the scene I was talking about all day, and you're like, did this really happen? And uh, check out the scene. You can definitely follow along and see what actually happened. I will provide that link as I mentioned in the comment section. All right, guys. So this has been podcast episode 1, Ricchan's Dilemma, Anime Inspirations podcast. Um, as I mentioned, if you like this podcast episode, just a simple thumbs up will go a long way. Um, Stay tuned for episode 2. I don't have the scene name yet. It's probably going to be multiple scenes looking at the subject matter. So it will be covering my album 2, as I mentioned. So again, if uh, be on the lookout for that. Possibly the end of this month and into or early August, I'd say. So, okay, guys, this has been Visceries, signing off. Hope you enjoyed the podcast episode.